Hello guys, and what's going on? So in this one we're going to talk about another PHP server global, which is a session. Okay, so let's start off. What's basically a session? A session is a way of storing data or values across multiple pages, so we can use them later in our pages. Okay, so let me give you another comparison which will demonstrate this. When you're working on your Windows desktop applications or any desktop application, whether you're on Mac, Windows, Linux, whatever, the computer knows who you are and what you're doing to your applications, okay? But when you're working on a website or a web application, the web servers do not know what you're doing on or who you are, okay? So we basically need sessions to identify who you are and what you're doing to our pages or to our website basically. Okay, so we can use that data later to manage your data, okay, and change it as you change it. Okay, so this is basically a session. So how they work: actually, when you're creating a session, it stores some kind of hash. It's basically a bunch of characters and numbers. It stores them on your computer, and then the session can identify who you are and what you're doing to the page, and if you have the permission to do this or not. So this is basically a session. Okay, this is basically what is a session and how they work. Okay, so now we need to do our example, and we are going to need to start our session just with the start session. Yeah, it's session start, like that. Okay, so this is basically how we start a session. Okay, now let me just give this a space, and now we're starting our session. And let's say we want to set some super global session variable to some values. Okay, what we have to do is to type in our $sign, our dash or underscore, whatever you call it, and session, and the name of this session variable. Okay, let me call this user name equals, let's say, whatever, Jack 1 2 3, and we can set as many as we want. Session, let me say age. Of course, it can be any data type. Let's say this will be 22, and I just a third one, session, and this will be like favorite color. Okay, say will be green. So now we started our session. Okay, now a hash, when we try and execute this, a hash will be executed and put into our computer, so that when we try and retrieve this in another page, it will retrieve them after creating a session. Okay, after doing the match, it will give true, and when the match is true, this will be executed when we echo it out on our next page. Okay, so now we are in session1.php page. Let me just create another file. We'll call it session2.php. okay, let me go, and this session lectures will be kind of long, but I need to give you all I have to give you in this session. In this session lectures, you cannot skip anything. Okay, now if we go ahead, and for of course when we try and retrieve our values right here, we need to also start our session, or our code will break, and this code which is session start need to be the first thing in every page. Okay, you cannot write it down or your code will also break. Start. Okay, it's real quick, and if we end this, let me write some HTML code just very quick. And a body. And if we now try and retrieve our session variables, let me echo. Now let's echo out the username session. Now let me close this, and now if we save this, notice that we here have our session start, session and session start method. Okay, now I think this is all set. Now let me save this and go to now my session to file. Let's see what happens. Okay, now we have some kind of error. I don't know. So sorry for the pause. The mistake or the error was actually really easy. I actually created the script, but I didn't execute it. I saved it, but I didn't execute it. I went right away for the session to page, and I executed it without actually having to without executing this one right here. Okay, which will trigger an error as you saw. Okay, so now if we echo out our username, I executed the script, and I refresh this like that, it will now get the username value. Of course, I can echo out. Let me concatenate this, and I will echo out the age is session and age, and save this and go back over here and refresh, and there you go. Age is whatever the age it was. Okay, refresh it again, and just like that, here is our value. Okay, let me tweak it a bit, just like that. Okay, so this is it for this one, and see you on the next video.